Tim Scott from South Carolina. And Congressman, when I did my tour of the floor, that jumped out at me. And I thought, well, boy, they've listened to the criticism before where the Republican Party will have a diverse array of speakers, then the camera shot pans to a very white crowd.
Well, I think it's very important for us to continue to make sure that the Republican Party is, in fact, the party of America. And one of the ways that you do that is making sure that the diversity of America is represented everywhere, not simply on the stage, but also in the audience. I think that's a very positive sign for where we're going as a country and who we are as a party.
Do you think this has been an issue, though, that you have this fact that, you know, African Americans are supporting the president in historic numbers, Hispanics might support the president in historic numbers for a Democrat, and the changing demographics of the country may mean there's simply not enough white voters, if you will, to put Mitt Romney over the top?
Well, I think what we're looking for are voters who understand that the future of America is far more important than the last 3.5 years. And if you look at the last 3.5 years of President Obama's administration, what you come to the conclusion is that with 41 months of over 8% unemployment, the focus is going to be on how do we create jobs for all Americans. And I like the picture of America as one nation. And I think what you'll see on the floor today and tomorrow will be a diverse America being represented at the Republican convention. It's a good thing.
I'm going to ask you this. You remember Congress' first term? I'm going to put up our approval ratings here for Congress. 12% approve, 82% disapprove. I know it's the friends and family, right? You're like, who are these 12%? Somebody always asks me, will you please find out who they are? Because they don't know. But, you know, Congress was unpopular before you got there,
yes,
and you guys took over. It's still unpopular. What's your explanation?
I mean, I think if you think about the philosophical divide that is the reality of America today, that when folks want, you know, Republicans want us on the right, Democrats want the left, and you put that body together, America as a whole will be very unhappy with the product because, frankly, you have two very polar opposites.
Is that the problem? Is it the compromise? Do you think if there were a compromise, you'd get rewarded more by the public?
Not necessarily. I mean, the fact of the matter is we need to find common ground. Compromise is very difficult to find when you're philosophically just completely opposed in many ways. But what we don't hear are the bipartisan approach to a lot of the major issues in this nation. We don't see the number of Republicans and Democrats that are trying to find a way to build rapport and credibility with each other. So that doesn't get covered by the news. But what does get covered is the fact that for the last 42, 43 months, we've had over 8% unemployment. So for us, what we're trying to do is really to focus on the issues that bring America together. And I think if we do that, the Congress comes together. And it will help our dismal approval ratings. But I will say that when you look at it from district to district, the reason why so many folks are being reelected is because within their districts, they are still fairly popular.
But see, isn't that the problem, though? Is that I see, look, in our own polling, we had this lowest approval rating and highest disapproval that we had ever recorded together in the same poll. At the same time, we had the highest number of people that said their member deserved re-election. It's like we live in two different worlds.
It does represent the very unique position that we find ourselves in as Americans. We find ourselves faced with two options. One is a philosophical disposition that simply says that we must collect all the resources and bring it to Washington. And the other simply says that the 330 million Americans or so should be empowered to make the best decisions on our own behalf. And your country is split with districts that believe in two different philosophies. Bring those two philosophies to Washington and you have a Super Bowl type contest.
No, and I understand that, but I mean, how does it break?
Well, I hope that
you want the voters to break it, not why shouldn't the leaders in Congress break it?
Well, the leaders are trying to break it. The challenge is that we simply are on two different pages. So what I believe will happen, as we've heard several times, elections have consequences. And so this year, November the 6th, the voters will have an opportunity to either empower our party and bring us a president of the White House and the Senate.
And what happens if they send a mixed message?
If they send a mixed message, we'll have more of the same.
All right. Congressman Tim Scott, Republican from South Carolina. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The AC in and out.
It's kind of working.
It's kind of working. All right.